up, Bucs Nation? It is February 22nd, 2024, and you're watching the Loose Cannons. You guys know who I am, hanging out with Stank Bastard, and we're joined by a special guest. Yeah, he hasn't been here in a while. The first ever Loose Cannons Hall of Fame inductee. All right, a man who I, with my own eyes, watched kick a field goal on a golf course, and he made it. Okay, actually did it twice.
Without spilling the drink in my hand.
While drinking, okay, and not spilling. So I mean, it's expert level type shit here. And of course, president of the Arians Family Foundation, the one, the only, the official, unofficial fourth member of the Loose Cannons podcast, Jake Arians. Welcome back to the show, man.
Good to see you, boys. Been too long.
Been way too long, bro. I don't really care what your excuses are, but I don't.
My excuse is you haven't asked me. You guys got too big. You got big guests coming on every week. Forgot about the first Hall of Famer. Like, come on.
We're married. You don't ask anymore after you're married. You just take what you want, right?
Yeah, you can walk into the room.
Leave that one alone.
Yeah, you can walk into the room while we're changing. You don't have to knock on the door. Like if I'm taking a shower, you need to brush your teeth. You walk right in, dude.
You just walk right in, right?
Yeah. If you're taking a shower, I'm gonna need to brush my teeth. I'm gonna walk right in. You know, it's just normal.
Exactly. There's no secrets here.
Calling in, like, hey, we're using the same Zoom link. Where you guys at? Jump in on the live.
Just jump in on live.
Yeah,
at all times.
Be on the chat.
Yeah, Stank sleeps in one of your old shirts, dude. We're all married at this point.
They're comfortable?
They're comfortable. I just, I get anxious when you're gone. That's all. The shirt makes me feel better. Let's move. What is happening? Let's move on
from the awkwardness.
Let's move on. All right, so listen. Every year, the Arians Family Foundation puts on an amazing charity golf event and also a gala the day before. This year, you guys are doing something a little bit different, but still kind of the same. And so before we get going on that, just to let you guys know out there, most of the time we offer an opportunity for those of you who watch us and love everything that we do to be a part of the event in terms of a raffle, donations, things of that nature that go towards the foundation that allow you an opportunity to win, a pass to join us and go through all the shenanigans, meet the people, rub elbows, all that good stuff. So this year we are going to do that, but before we announce how we're going to do that, we're going to let Jake tell us what you guys got going on, what you guys have planned, and how, this is really freaking cool. I'm not a fan of this type of music, but this is massive. Go ahead, Jake.
It's a little over the top. So it's the 10th year anniversary. We had to come strong. We had to do something different. We partnered with the Hard Rock Tampa, and you guys live there. You've been there. You know how awesome it is. Jason Aldean private concert for the 10-year anniversary of the Arians Family Foundation. You got a couple different options. You can buy just the concert, donate for the, to come to the concert, or to the pre-party for 2 hours before the concert, food, drinks, all that stuff. And then the concert, we'll have an opening act. We will have our live auction and kind of our gala portion during the concert. And man, we couldn't be more excited. Hard Rock has been phenomenal. The venue is spectacular. Jason Aldean, good buddy of mine and BA dads. Can't thank him enough for being able to, for doing this kind of thing. This is huge to be able to raise this kind of money and have a kick-ass party. I mean, you guys have been to a couple now. You know how good it is. We're still going to do the golf tournament at a later date. Look out for that information. It'll just be the golf and then the post 3-hour reception that we're known for. So this one's just going to be a one night, March 23rd, Saturday night, Hard Rock Tampa, Jason Aldean, kick-ass party.
Okay. I was going to say, Jake, you guys can't not do the golf tournament the year after the Loose Cannons team wins, right? So you have to give us a chance
to repeat.
You got to let us repeat, defend our title, and, we need those bragging rights. So I'm glad that there still will be a golf section of this at some point. So, and that's a big deal, right? I let people know that I won a golf tournament every single day of my life, just so you know.
I mean, that's kind of like saying Hendricks won the Daytona 500 by owning the team, but...
Why do you think they own the team?
Well, yeah, I mean, you didn't drive or hit a shot, but you won. You're the owner. I'll give it to you. We'll give you a chance to repeat. Pelagic and the boys. I mean, we got to give a shout out to your team.
Yeah. Well, listen, we put together a hell of a team.
We did. Hey,
the biggest part of information is all the tickets for the event, AriansFamilyFoundation.com. Everything's done through Ticketmaster. That's the deal with the Hard Rock. So we have to go to Ticketmaster to be able to buy them. It's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for us to be able to track it. But two different options: $250 for the concert, $1,000 for the party and the concert, drink tickets, food and drinks, all that kind of stuff for the party before. And then, of course, you guys know how we do. It's not going to end when the concert's over. It'll be a fun night of the Hard Rock until the wee hours, I'm sure, because we're not playing golf the next day. We're just
hold on,
have some fun.
There's a pre-party that's part of one of those pass options, like with all the people that matter.
Yeah, everybody that's coming, celebs that are coming, players that are coming, coaches that are coming, big names that are coming. DJ Silver, my boy, tours with Jason Aldean, does a ton of stuff in Vegas, does a ton of stuff down there, and the Hollywood Hard Rock is playing. He's going to DJ for that whole 2 hours, be around the pool. Not a pool party, but around the pool. Think like Miami sexy vibes before we go into the concert and just have a ton of fun. So yeah, that's
I'm glad you said that.
Can I push you in the pool? Would you be upset if I pushed you into the pool?
Probably, since I'm technically working, but you know.
Hey, if you're working, it's not fun, right?
I'll have a backup outfit change just in case.
So this sounds like a bucket list type of event. And so for those of you guys who are watching, we are going to make it available to you via a raffle where you donate, and every donation is a raffle ticket. So I think we'll start it at we'll figure it out. We'll have 2 different tiers. If you don't want to go this, you don't want to donate too much or you can't donate that much. And, we'll go this way and that way. And you could have an opportunity. We'll send 2 people to this ridiculous event, which sounds ridiculously cool because I'm not a country music fan. I'm sorry, Jake, but I know that name. So it sounds like that's a big deal.
It's country music Hall of Famer and
there you go.
Artist on the planet right now. Yeah.
So the Samurai Ali of country music makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense.
That's a great analogy. So you understand.
Jake, I appreciate you, you saying it's not a pool party. I was gonna show up in my.
Well, you're not gonna wear shoes regardless if I say it's pool party or not. I need to say black tie.
I probably won't have shoes on either way. Either way. Yeah. If you notice, like in men's trends and men's fashions, everybody's wearing like higher and higher pants. Like the calf is now exposed. So I'm all for it. I know what I'm showing up in already. I've had my team working on my outfit. I get to see Jason Aldean in a small venue and just hang out with the area. Like y'all, nobody throws parties like you do. Nobody.
You and 1,000 of your closest friends.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be incredible.
450 at the pre-party, and then I think there'll be 1,000, 1,100 people at the concert.
Are you going cowboy hat, cowboy boots, belt buckle, or like what's the deal here? Like, can you still make that look kind of black tie?
Not for the pre-party, but I might throw a little change on there to introduce my boy and get going. Matt Rogers, of course, hosting this jam.
Matt fucking Rogers.
Matt fucking Rogers is in the house.
He's wearing a cowboy hat. Matt's gonna wear a cowboy hat.
Yeah, bro.
Probably so. I'll probably have to join him for a little partake in the Jason portion. And like I said, the live auction, the gala portion, that kind of stuff will go on before the concert in front of everybody. Be some awesome packages to bid on there.
No disrespect to Jason Aldean, but I'm coming for Matt Rogers, bro. I'm coming for Matt Rogers.
By the way, there will be an opening act. So it's not just, a 30-minute Jason Aldean show. It's going to be a special souped up acoustic version. He's fired up. He doesn't do these. So I'm telling you, to thank him enough to be able to do this for us is spectacular. That would be a lot of money. We would not make money as a foundation if we had to pay somebody Jason's size to come do this. So it's spectacular for him to be able to do this for us.
Hell yeah. Listen, I'm excited. I've already gone cowboy hat shopping. I couldn't find any that I like. So I'm actually having someone make me a 50-gallon hat. So just let you know, it's going to be different. I'm going to be looking different. I'm still going to wear a hoodie.
50 gallons?
Yeah, I'm still wearing a hoodie. Just make sure that we're straight with that. Okay.
I rock a hoodie with my cowboy hat and boots all the time.
Hoodie, sports
with a jacket. With a sports coat. Yeah. Okay. You saw I pulled it off last year, Jake.
Look, I'm all about mixing the trends, man. You go like cowboy and Harley and mix them together. Yeah. It's kind of a cool look.
I think it's time that we gave you a loose cannons belt buckle. I think it's time. I think it has to be done, right? Makes sense.
I'll take that instead of the jacket. Take the Hall of Fame belt buckle over the jacket. If you can get it done between now and then, I will wear that for the.
Listen, you ask Stank right now. When I need stuff done, I have unlimited resources overseas.
Yeah, it may take.
You have till March 23rd, and I will rock the belt buckle.
Yeah, it may take 18 months, but it's gonna get it done.
It's gonna get done.
Yeah,
not next March 23rd. This one,
right? The next one.
Gotcha. Okay.
Mudfish Matt says Samber's gonna look like the Arby's logo, and we got a bunch of super chats. Our first super chat, and I'm gonna hit the don't want to scare you. You hear this? Somebody donated. It says Poppy Latte is holding out as a free agent. I don't know who that is. And then we had another air horn alarm donation. Reigning Arians Family Foundation golf tournament champion chiming in. It's an amazing cause, bucket list stuff. That was from Pelagic Computer. Hell yeah, he knows. He knows how we party. He knows how the Arians do things.
He knows. He
Hey,
knows
Jake,
well.
just because some people have asked, if they aren't interested in the concert, is there a way to donate on the website? Just is it ariansfamilyfoundation.com, and they can just donate
Absolutely.
directly through that?
Yeah, there's a donate now button on ariansfamilyfoundation.com. So you could always do that. Everything's appreciated so much. You guys know what the cause is for if you watch this show by now. And I can't thank you enough for every dollar that comes in, because it all goes
Jake,
out.
for those who don't know the cause, can you just, real quick give us the Cliff's Notes version of what the charity's about?
Put on the Arians Family Foundation president coat for a second.
Yeah,
here.
real quick.
Sure. So I say all the time, winning football games is a big deal. Saving kids' lives is a hell of a lot more important, including the Super Bowl. As cool as that was, my mom's passion for 20 years behind the scenes as an attorney, and then volunteering for CASA. CASA is a court-appointed special advocate for abused and neglected kids in the foster care system. So that's what everything's about. We support a chapter in Arizona, two chapters at the lake in Georgia, a chapter in Pittsburgh, a chapter in Cleveland, a chapter in Indianapolis, and the two down there. The GAL program and the Voices for Children program in Tampa. And the money that we raise down there will stay down there. And we couldn't be more excited about raising that money, keeping that legacy going, raising awareness. We need more CASAs as well. It's a volunteer position, and you're really saving a kid's life. The kids that have a CASA in their life have a chance. The ones that don't, they're really up against it, man. It's hard. And I say this all the time too, and it sends it to hit home. None of these kids are in the situation they're in because it's their fault. Period. So you helping save a kid's life is a hell of a lot bigger than winning any football game my dad ever did. My mom's legacy of the foundation and her work is way bigger to me and way more important for us than that.
So you're saying that we get to give to this charity, see a private Jason Aldean concert, just you and Jason basically just sitting there, he's singing to you, you're getting serenaded.
Yes.
We have an opening act. We don't even know who it is. It could be somebody special. Samurai Lee is going to be in the building. You may not. He's going to be roped off. Let's make this very clear. You're not going to get anywhere near.
I have rope guys that go with me. Honestly.
Yeah, you're not going to get anywhere near. You're not going to be. You could take like one of those.
Are they the same guys that hold the camel?
No, Were you crazy? Those guys aren't allowed that close to me. No.
Yeah.
Okay. No, they're different guys.
My camel has rope guys as well.
Okay.
So
sure.
They're longer ropes, obviously, because his camel's a lot bigger. But listen, I will say, when you guys play that video, there's always a different video that you guys play, whether it's one of the actual stories from one of the kids or from one of the parents or one of the people that donates their time with you guys. Every time you play that video, there isn't a dry eye in the building. Yeah. And that right there tells you the kind of work you guys do and the kind of storybook, setup that you guys provide for these kids. So absolutely awesome cause, regardless of your love or no love for country music. Like, hands down, the coolest type of thing that you guys could donate to, just because of the work you guys do with kids. It's awesome. So hats off to you. Sorry. And a massive handshake. There you go. Look at that. Double on that.
All right, so, like I said, if you think my dad's passionate yelling at officials, get my mom talk about saving kids, because that's a whole nother level of ass whooping passion.
It's actually higher. It's actually worse.
Oh,
We all know how your family is tiered. She's way at the top.
Yeah, even though she's only this tall, she's
Definitely commands the room when she starts talking to you.
Commands the family. She puts me in line every time I see her.
Puts everybody in line.
Everybody.
It means your family if she puts you in line.
Yeah, she does every single time.
She's a matriarch. All right, Jake. Before I forget, we will drop links in the description after the show, and we'll share this stuff on social. Let's try to raise some money for the foundation, and you guys all get a chance to possibly win a spot at either of the two tiers of ticketing, or whatever you guys want to call it, passes.
Donation.
All right, now
entry. Donations for entry. It's better.
Donations for entry.
Tickets.
Yeah.
Donations for entry.
The Dentry. All right, now moving on. The Bucs offseason is underway. Okay, made some changes already. We'll start kind of in the coaching room with Todd Bowles. He lost his offensive coordinator, goes to the Carolina Panthers. We've covered this obviously from our perspective on this show, but he's now starting to kind of build his staff, his offensive staff, and it's, in my opinion, a hell of a staff. I'd love to hear from you, Jake, on one, the hiring of Liam, and two, kind of the staff that he's putting together. And I know a lot of those guys were guys that were here with your pops, and now that has shifted over, and now he's bringing in his own guys. Those guys have kind of, followed what's his name, to Carolina, or they've retired and moved on to more relaxing endeavors. So I'd
Yeah,
like to
Goody.
hear what you think of this coaching staff that he's putting together on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, I hate to lose Goody and Joe. They've been with us forever. Did a hell of a job on that offensive line. Going with Dave, and congratulations to Dave. It was a hell of a year for him, and the hiring cycle worked out perfect. His connections with Dan Morgan and that organization. Hate to see him in the division, but it is what it is. They got a long way to go over there, so good luck to them. But Goody and Joe are two uncles to me that I've known for a long time. Goody goes way back to like 2004 or five with Dad, 4 or 5 stops later. But I'm happy for them. So good chance for them to move on. I'm excited about Liam. I mean, he did a hell of a job at Kentucky. Levi's best years down there by far. His junior year when he was there with him, went to the Rams. Kind of that McVay tree, very similar to Dave Canales, it seems like. I think Baker's the perfect guy, knows the terminology already. So, like, having him learn another offense at this point in his career would be kind of crazy. And he'll still have to do that, but I think it's very similar. I think that was probably one of the biggest reasons for the hire, trying to get Baker back. But a lot of nakeds, boots, a lot of stuff that he does well, throwing on the run, a lot of running game. And I'm excited to see what he brings and bring some new blood. I was excited to see Todd really interview a lot of guys and then find the right fit that he liked. He did a hell of a job with it last year. Finding Dave, who I think was the last guy that he interviewed. So yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I think the three straight division champs, like, you never won it back to back in the history of the franchise. Now you won it 3 straight. You got to say you're the favorites going into next year. I like what he's bringing. And I like the new blood bringing in there. I think that the big key to go with that is the elephant in the room, and that's Mike and Baker coming back.
Are you breaking the news? They're coming back?
No, I'm not breaking anything. I'm saying that's the
okay.
We need to have happen to go along with
that's the way I took it. I mean, I thought I saw a little wink. I
just got something in
mind. No, he has something to say. Well, I was gonna add to what you're saying. You're pretty close to Todd. And Todd kind of made some comments towards the end of the season and into the offseason about how, he doesn't plan on coaching forever. And he kind of hinted towards life after Todd, or life after the NFL when he retires. And the way they're building this coaching staff kind of reminds me, not reminds me, but kind of gives me the feeling that they're kind of building this in case they lose Liam again, or kind of looking towards the future, maybe in a year or two when Todd decides I'm done, I'm done, I'm going to retire, because they're getting guys that could be possible offensive coordinators in the future or possible head coaches in the future, including Liam. So I'm curious what you think of that, and just if I'm reaching or if I'm thinking, outside the box here, but I really have a feeling that they're building a really good staff to where if they lose Liam or they have an ability to transition in a year or two, they have the guys kind of in place and can keep things rolling.
That was always my dad's idea, right? Like, have a young guy ready to take over to be the next guy. So if that's the receiver coach, it's going to be the next quarterback coach. The next quarterback coach is going to be the next offense coordinator, and vice versa on the defensive side. Larry Foote being that guy as linebacker coach, stepping into that defense coordinator role, those kind of things, and being able to step into that next guy as the head coach. I think Todd's doing the same thing. He's taking that from there. Todd's not going to coach forever, whether that's a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever that is. His son Troy is about to be a superstar at the University of Georgia, was one of the top linebackers in the country last year, was a freshman this year at Georgia. I know he'd love to see him play eventually before he goes to the NFL. But he might not get a chance to if he keeps coaching. So we'll see. I mean, you never know. And the coaching profession is so damn hard, man. You guys know that now, getting to know me behind the scenes of how hard these guys work. If you ask any of them in November, they don't want to do it for another year. If you ask any of them in March, man, I'm ready to go. My juices are flowing. It's new season. Let's get this team built. And then we go to training camp, and they don't want to do it again halfway through training camp. And then it's just, that's just how it rolls. So we'll see. I hope Todd does a couple more years, but it's been a hell of a 2-year division stretch, winning the titles, getting the playoffs. I mean, look, this year was big, man. To have $36 million in dead money from Brady's contract, to win the division, to win a home playoff game, to kick the Eagles' ass like we did, to go on the road against the hottest team in the world with everything against you, because everybody wanted the Lions to win that game, and have a damn good performance. I mean, I thought they played their tails off. That was to be in that
1 quarter away, Jake. We were tied going into the 4th quarter.
They were right there at the end of the 4th quarter. I mean, that place was beyond atmosphere, right? Like, they haven't had a playoff game at home since 1991, 1992, whatever it was. Like, that was ticket prices were Super Bowl prices. I was proud as hell of them this year. I'm looking forward to the team that Jason Light and Greeny and Spytech can build for next year, having a little bit of money, the salary cap going up, fixing some of these problems. You got Tristan Wirfs coming up. You got Antoine Winfield. Some guys you got to figure out who gets tagged, who gets long-term extensions. I'd like to throw Levante in there when we're talking about Mike and Baker and make sure he finishes his career as a Buck because that son of a gun doesn't age. Him and Mike might have had the best 2 years of their career this year, their careers in the twilight. Like they're both in their 30s getting up there, and they were spectacular. I mean, Levante held that thing down on the defense with Antoine. And but I'm excited. I mean, you got to add some rookies. I'm sure we'll get to talking about that in a minute, but I'm excited about what they've got. The core that we built is still there. And I said last year, I think Baker can play to the level Tom did or better in Tom's last year, and he did.
Yeah, played him.
I also said if he has a little magic early, that swag is going to be loved in Tampa, and it is. The fan base really came around him. He loves living there. Hopefully, we can get him back and make that happen.
Well, Jake, when you got a guy like Kyle Trask breathing down your neck every day in practice, every day in camp, in every team meeting, you gotta play
without even joking though,
to that level. I mean,
without even joking though, we know how close that battle was in camp, right?
Yeah.
And then how good Baker played this year. That ought to tell you a lot about you. I think you're damn solid at number 2 there. I know you're kidding, but like
I'm not.
You're damn solid at number 2.
Not kidding.
2 very different personalities. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me.
I don't joke about Kyle Trask.
I know you don't. You don't. I think the biggest thing with me was Todd being more subdued, reserved, and Baker having that energy. You could go BA and Trask. I'm not sure you could have like Todd and Trask, that same personality of your leaders of your team. I'm fine with either one, but I think somebody's got to be that fiery guy. That's why I thought Baker going in would fit perfectly, and staying healthy. It actually, I mean, he was banged up for a while and still played through it, but I thought he played his ass off.
Yeah, Todd held the team together. They continued to play for him, even during that really bad stretch in the middle of the season. And then you kind of started to see Baker grow into a leader, start to be more vocal. And then we kind of like made a couple of comments where I don't want to say he threw his guys under the bus, but he kind of said, we need to all wake the F up. It changed. And you're like, okay, he's now the leader of this team. And they responded. They started winning games again. Then they go on a winning streak. And you're like, why? This is exactly what you want to see. You want to see resiliency. You want to see leadership. And you want to see guys not giving up. This isn't Greg Schiano coaching these dudes. This is Todd Bowles. And just because he doesn't do what BA does at press conferences doesn't mean he's not doing those things in the film room. And he's just not going to undress guys publicly. It's not his style. Not everybody's going to be like your pops. And I think Bucs fans finally got to see that and realize, you know what, let's chill out a little bit.
Yeah, let's give him a chance. You guys are playing their asses off for him, and you can see that. The guys love him. And I think Baker won the locker room over early on, and then his play kind of took over. I think really that play in Minnesota in week 1 where he trucks that dude for the first down and gets up talking shit.
Get your weight up.
I mean, the guys went, whoa, our quarterback this is awesome. I mean, I think that went a long way. So when later on, when you are struggling, you can go back to that guy that did that, that's now getting on your ass talking about we need to wake the F up and get playing. It resonates instead of a guy that's chirping all the time that hasn't earned that same kind of respect. And he did. Baker's a true pro. He's been around for a long time. He knew what to expect, and he knew that they were struggling and how to fix it. And I think the guys, like I said, I think Todd did a hell of a job. I think everybody did. Man, I was really proud of this team this year. To lose Tom, to be up against it, to be picked dead last or second to last of the freaking Cardinals, that was ridiculous and absurd. I mean, the people that are doing this for a living that actually did that should have to give their money back, in my opinion. It should be like gambling. If you're that wrong, you should just have to give your money back and give your job away.
Yeah.
But it was a hell. I was really proud of him.
You know what? It's crazy to think about. Like, he filled Tom Brady's shoes. He did that. Like,
I think he outgrew him.
Yeah,
the year before, Tom should have been the MVP over Aaron. He was spectacular for 2 years.
Yeah.
Tom's last year, he wasn't the same guy. And I knew Baker could play to that level. I think he played better than that than Tom's third year last year. And definitely, Sammer, you said it after the New Orleans game, the first New Orleans game. We won that game because he could move around.
Yep.
He ran around. He got out of the pocket. He made stuff happen. Stuff that Tom couldn't do. It was fun to watch. I mean, look, we'll all be grateful to Tom forever for the Super Bowl and coming and doing that. But you had to replace him. And I thought he did a hell of a job stepping into those shoes, because you're exactly right, Stank. That is not easy to do, and they were big shoes to fill. I think he did.
He did it with, that old adage of leaders lead by example, as opposed to coming in there and yelling at everybody and doing the whole deal. He went out there and just put it all on the field. And when people start seeing that, they're gonna follow a guy like that. And then when he does finally talk, you're like, okay, there's some weight to this dude.
Yeah.
He knows what he's talking about because he is actually out there trying. And I think the old school, stay in the pocket, don't move around quarterbacks are gone. That's not the NFL anymore. You got to have a guy that can move, get out of the pocket, create when something breaks down, and at least save your guys from a sack or two. Every one of the guys in the playoffs did that throughout the entire season. I mean, obviously Patrick Mahomes, even Brock Purdy did it. So having him come in and show that aspect of what he can do, save the Bucs, especially at the beginning when they weren't pass blocking well and they were still learning the offense and they needed to get creative with those types of things. So massive. I mean, it was huge. So I'm excited to see what Liam is able to do with him because I think he's a better play caller. No offense to Dave, but he's more seasoned. I think he has a better understanding of how to utilize some of this stuff.
We don't know what he is yet, though. We don't know that. We don't know
from.
I don't think there's any drop off there at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Dave was in his first year.
Either.
Dave got a lot better as the season went on.
He did.
But I don't think there's any drop off there, especially if we get the right guys back with the same weapons. Otten's then his third year. The offensive line should be really good. Rashad White was a beast all year. Like, you got the guys. You still got Chris and Mike. If we get Mike back. So, I mean, it's all a matter of staying healthy at that point. I think you have the same exact weapons. And I think we can do better than we were averaging 20 points a game for a long time there.
Yep.
Couldn't do anything. I think we start off more like we finished, and that was way better than how it started.
Speaking of Baker, all right, next item on our list here. The next item on the agenda, massive one for us. It's free agency, man. It's Baker Mayfield. We got Mike Evans. We got Antoine Winfield Jr. And we got Levante David. And I don't list them in the order of importance, but it's pretty close there. Now, you talked a little bit about Baker. Baker's coming back. I feel like he's coming back.
I can't imagine he wants to go anywhere else. But at the end of the day, money talks. I mean, if we can get him back for the 3 years, $100 million that's being floated around out there from the experts I was just talking about. One, that's a team-friendly deal if it happens. I think Baker would take a little less to be in the right situation with the guys. I think Mike coming back has a lot to do with it. And I think they'll be talking to each other, making sure that this happens. So you get them both back. And if that's the case, I can't imagine Levante goes anywhere else. I can't imagine that they let him go anywhere else at this point. You don't want to replace two if Devin doesn't come back. And then Antoine... that was the dude on defense. Like, should have been damn sure top 3 defensive player of the year and wasn't even mentioned. Like, the Pro Bowl is so stupid now. I don't even know why we have it. But all pro. It's not a Pro Bowler. But he was spectacular. Saved 2 games single-handedly by himself. He was unbelievable all year. Has been since he stepped on the field. That's a guy you got to get done. And whether, like I said, that's a tag and sign later, that's a extension now, you got to figure all this stuff out. And then, Tristan Wirfs is the other one that's not a free agent, but that's one you want to lock up for a long time. You just back up the truck and deal with whatever that is. Big difference is for a lot of teams when your quarterback's making 45, 50 million. If we can get Baker for 30, 35 million, you got room to sign these other guys and still be really good. Now, it's not a rookie deal. You have Brock Purdy making 900,000 and you get 34 extra $1 million to play with, but it's still a huge window. You saw the Eagles. They're going to lose more guys with Jalen Hurts' contract. Some of these guys get paid. You saw it with Russell Wilson when he got paid the first time. Legion of Boom fell apart. They were never the same after that. Getting Baker at that kind of price would be huge.
I think
we basically got him for free this year.
Yeah, him and Mike, they're working together like you're talking about. Their camps are working together. It's like when you're trying to close the sale of your house and make sure that you line up the closing of the purchase of your next house kind of in the same, week or two, get them in that same, flow there. I think that's what's happening right now with the Bucs. And listen, coming up here, as much as we do, maybe more than we do, actually, definitely more than we do. Combine is when these contracts start getting hammered out. Right, they may not be announced there, but that's when Baker's people are going to meet with Jason Light and the guys, and that's when Mike's guys are going to meet with the Bucs, and that's usually when some of the details start getting hammered out and things start getting resolved, and you start
all that happens unofficially.
Unofficially, I'm just saying, it's coming up, and I feel like the Bucs are in a really good spot and really good position. And you touched on Levante, and I'll let you go, Sting. Rondé Barber said something, I believe it was earlier today or yesterday, where he said, I signed 3 one-year deals at the end of my career just so I could stay in Tampa. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of kept going year by year to see how I was feeling. And he thinks Levante is very much in that position. And after the year he just had, I can't imagine him saying, I'm not going to go try one more time. with this team, with this squad, with these guys that have fought for each other and the camaraderie that's in that locker room, and say, you know what, let me just try it one more time before
And
I
it's
actually
home.
retire. And it's home.
It's home at
It's
this
home.
point, right? You don't know anything else. Like I
Right.
can't imagine seeing Levante in a different uniform
Or
and
Mike.
just be a travesty, much
It would
less
be.
winner. But I think at that point, that's team friendly as well. Because if it's a 1 year deal, you could almost guarantee the whole thing. You could,
Yep.
whatever the number is, you guarantee half, and then you give a big incentive base. You could kick the can down the road a little bit on that one. If it's a 1 year deal, then you know you can keep rotating that, and it doesn't really kill you on the cap. Mike's number is not going to kill us on the cap. Mike knows he's in the twilight. He wants to finish off a Hall of Fame career the same way that it's been every year, 1,000 yards, and keep this thing rolling. Chris is under contract. Like I said, the rest of the offense is pretty young.
Yeah, they don't have to ring chase either. They got their rings. They don't have to do what veterans who didn't get that ring do at the end of their career. All Mike has to do is call Julio Jones up and be like, Julio, should I do what you just did and bounce around and tarnish my legacy by playing in all these other uniforms where I'm just a non-factor? That's all he's got to do. He should stay here. He's beloved. He played out of his fucking mind. Baker
you're
loves
talking
him.
about
City loves him.
should be 2 Hall of Famers because Levante damn should be if Luke
Should
Kuechly
be.
and guys are going to go in. He's been as good as any of them for his entire career.
If-
But you're
if
definitely
that-
talking about
if
Bucs
the
Ring of
guy from
Fame
the
guys.
Niners got in. I was going
What's
to say,
that?
if the guy from the Niners got in, Levante is a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. Go ahead,
Should
sorry.
be, but he never got all the All Pros and the stupid Pro Bowl and crap we were just talking about that people actually care about. But you're talking about definite Ring of Fame, Ring of Honor members that need to finish there. And I don't think either one of them are going to break the bank on the open market anyway. They fit what we do, and that's one of the reasons they're that successful. I mean, I think Mike would probably command a little bit more than Levante on the open market right now, but I think that plays in our favor getting them back as well. And I don't think either one of them need to take some giant team discount to come back, but it'd be nice if they took a little bit of one to stay at home.
Yeah, so we talked about it off the air, Stank, myself, and I kept going back to this one thing with Mike. Is there another team on the outside looking in that's going to give a wide receiver of his age a longer term contract than the Bucs would be able to? Because he's trying to get that, he's not going for a 1 year deal. He's not interested in a 2 year deal, which is essentially a 1 year deal because that second year is probably going to allow them to just cut him, right? And I'm not saying he's deteriorating. He's just an older wide receiver. That's just facts. And even with the year he had. So I feel like the Bucs are in a better position to be like, we're going to give you 3 years. Like other teams won't be able to do that, and again, he fits so well here. There's no need to leave. It just
there are teams that can do it. I mean, there's teams.
Not saying they can't do it money wise, but are they willing to do that for an older wide receiver? Is kind of my point.
Some, like if the Colts lose Michael Pittman, I can see them throwing a bunch of money out there. There's teams that would do it, but is he willing to go leave home to find something new? Is he willing to leave Baker if we get him back? And this offense is going to be very similar to go play with Anthony Richardson if we're going to use the Colts as an example. And I'm just throwing that out there. There's absolutely
Nobody wants to move to Indiana. You know that place.
Look, I love Indy, but if I'm Mike, I wouldn't want to go play with Anthony Richardson.
No.
There's a big learning curve there. He's only going to play half the games because he's going to get hurt every time he plays. So,
you saw how cold it was during the All-Star break for the NBA? I mean, you're not leaving this place to go to that.
Weather. So,
yeah.
But it's home. I mean, Mike's a Texas kid who's now been in Tampa for 11 years.
Right.
I can't imagine it. I think a lot of it, like I said, I think it comes back to who do we get back? Is Levante back? Is Baker back? They'll make it worth his while. I can't imagine they let him get out of the building.
Yeah, I think looking at it from the perspective of going out there and doing similar to what Jamel Dean, Carlton Davis, even Levante, Jason lets these guys go out there, come back, share numbers, and they say, all right, let's meet you halfway. Here you go. Everyone's happy. Yeah. I think it's a lot of everyone just kind of nervous. Bucs fans are constantly nervous. I don't like you guys. Bucs fans need Prozac. Is that what you guys take for that? Adderall? What do you give for
Adderall and Prozac will be two very different things, but they need to take
Adderall.
I mean, the difference though, the difference is like Jamel was a massive quantity of a young guy coming off his first contract that was highly sought after. You had to pay. Carlton was the same way. I mean, these guys, you're talking about older guys in their 30s. So to stay at home makes a lot of sense. I mean, they have to weigh that. By the way, no state income tax in Florida. You're going to look at some of these other places that are going to come up and do that. I mean, all this stuff has to weigh into the decision. But I think a lot of it is staying at home. And look, I mean, how about this team that they built? Team that won the Super Bowl a few years ago has turned over, but like we're not talking about 10, 12, 13 free agents that we got to get back 8, 9 of. We're talking about 4 or 5 guys.
Right.
Defensive line's pretty young. The secondary is pretty young. Like we'll get into the draft here in a second, but like that offense is pretty much set. I mean, we could add some pieces here and there, but there are not a lot of guys of your own guys that you need to get back. I mean, you can't give Jason and Greeny and Spytek and that front office enough credit.
Oh, and Jake, those young guys, they've been to the mountaintop. We've got a lot of rings on this team that are going to stay on this team. Guys who went through, you know, the Arians era, the Brady era. Like this team is built to sustain winning, in my opinion. And yeah, we've had some bumps, you know, in the road here and there, but we still got to where we needed to get. We still won our division. We played out of our minds in the playoffs. And that's, you know, with our starting middle linebacker getting benched, playing with one safety the entire fucking season. You know, a lot went wrong, and yet we still ultimately achieved the goals that they set out for training camp.
I think the biggest thing there, Stank, is when BA came in, the expectations of the team changed. And the guys that have been there that you're talking about since expect to win the division. They expect to be in the playoffs. They expect to have a home playoff game. And if they got to go on the road, they can do it and win the Super Bowl because they did it. Like the expectations, the culture that's been built that Todd has taken over is the exact same thing. I mean, that's not the same old Bucs. It's not your dad's Bucs. It's not the Bucs from 15 years ago, you know, or historically before that. You know, I mean, it's a new day, and I think the expectations in that locker room in that building are that every year. Contend for that division title, get in the playoffs, win a playoff game, make a run.
Listen, speaking of expectations and leaders and guys that have become champions in front of us, Antoine Winfield is on that list of free agents coming up. Obviously, I believe Jason Light's shown a pretty good track record of if he drafts a stud, he keeps that stud. He doesn't just let him go out and you know, he knew if he drafted the right guy in Antoine and he was who he thought he could be, he's going to sign him back. And so a lot of people talk about he's probably going to be the franchise tag option for this team because it'll be the cheapest between he, Baker, and Mike. And also, it just makes a lot of sense because they might not be able to technically get all of these guys signed, but he's kind of like, I don't want to say he's at the lowest, you know, underneath Mike and Baker, but it's like $16-something million a year. It's not a bad deal. And I think it helps him tie up time to figure out that deal. What do you think of Antoine getting the franchise tag? And if he does, do you see any scenario in which he actually would have to play on that tag as opposed to the Bucs just kind of stretching time a little bit so that they can talk to him and hammer that out as opposed to losing him?
I mean, you have 2 different tags, right? So you could do the non-exclusive or whatever they're calling it now. Even if he has to play on it for a year, that's a giant number of a guaranteed money. And if we're talking about priorities, man, you're talking about Baker and him as 1A and 1A. I think he's more important than Mike and Labonte, if I'm being completely honest. As much as I don't want to see them in any other uniform for the rest of their careers.
He's a long-term stud. I get it.
Your quarterback and your quarterback of the defense, which is normally your middle linebacker and Labonte, I think Antoine has proved he's the biggest playmaker on that defense at this point that you cannot lose. So even if he does for a year, then maybe he gets his bank next year. Either way, he's getting paid. He's getting a monster long-term deal. I can't imagine he ends up anywhere else. And hopefully it's just, you know, the temporary tag if they have to go that route and that they can get something done later on when we know the cap number and, you know, all those kind of things. When free agency, you know, that June number comes and some of the veterans get moved around and maybe you can free up some space here and there. If a young guy comes on that you draft and, you know, oh, maybe save some money here. You know, there's a lot of things that happen from the beginning of free agency to the time training camp starts when that tag actually implies that you have to play on.
Jake, you could have just said Greenberg. That's it. You could have been like,
Greeny will figure it out, dude.
Greenberg. Yeah. The answer to the question?
Period.
Greenberg.
Yes.
I mean, the thing is, he of the guys, in my opinion, that are free agents, he's the one, no offense to Mike, would be the most sought-after guy on this Bucs team. Yeah. Easily. And so to make sure you, yeah.
He's
and to
young
make sure
in his prime, and he's coming off what should have been right there for Defensive Player of the Year.
Defensive Player of the Year,
most
exactly.
Dynamic guy on the defense.
And so to make sure you don't lose that guy, you put that tag on him and you talk it out and you figure it out. And if, like you said, he has to play on it, I don't imagine he would love the idea. But again, it's, you know, it's really good money.
Guys get caught up in some of that stuff. And I think a lot of it's ego. It depends on who you have around you. His dad played with his dad in Buffalo, classy guy, phenomenal player himself. He comes from a family that I think gets it more than most. So I think the people in his ear will help with some of that because we're going to franchise you. Dude, that just means you're playing on 1 year of the whole thing guaranteed, and then you're up
Yeah.
again. And it's a big number. Like, yeah, I mean,
And
I'd want long-term stability if I was him too. He was a second-round pick, not a first-round pick. So, like, you don't have that other year. You didn't have that extra money there. But he's going to make his. And I think being in the right situation where you're used properly, again, going from a coach that really knows how to use you in a system that you really fit in to somewhere
Oh,
new,
yeah.
just because it's more money, isn't always the best thing either. But I think, well, I think we'll be fine. I mean, look, you're talking about all these guys, and it's really the team that we've built. High character guys.
Mhm.
We're talking about 4 monster leaders of this team. You don't want to lose any of them. You want
Yeah.
all of these guys back in your locker room because I said 5 times now, this is a pretty young team. You got to have these veteran guys that have been around for these younger guys to look at.
Yeah, and
the
you
other
also
thing,
want
too-
to show the other guys in the locker room that when you play it, you earn it, you get rewarded, and I think ultimately that's what Jason wants to do anyway. So he's just got to
Yeah,
figure out how to move the chips around. Speaking of moving chips around, we got a couple more super chats. We have a $2 donation. That's fine. I'm not complaining.
Absolutely not.
From Pelagic said, what lake in Georgia? This is a while ago, by the way. What lake in area in Georgia? Please say Lake Oconee.
Lake Oconee.
Okay.
Reynolds, Lake Oconee.
Okay. And then
Lake Mecca.
Westside Sports said Baker 3 years, 96.5 million. Mike 3 years, 35 million. I can see it.
I would take both of those and run right now.
I don't know about that Mike Emmons number. I don't
That's
think
a
You
big
don't have to guarantee. You know, it's look. The other thing people don't get, they get caught up with the wrong stuff. Is ESPN reports 5 years, 200 million, whatever. The guaranteed number is the only thing that matters.
Right.
Yep.
With some of these guys, that can be kicked down the road a little bit. Well, you know the salary cap's coming up. You can still, Stank said it perfectly. Greenberg.
Yeah. It's not like we have Mickey Loomis
Yeah.
running our team or
No,
something
we
like
don't.
that, bro.
No,
It's fucking
Eventually,
Greenberg.
they're going to owe money and not have any players. But
Yeah.
look, I mean,
March
is Mike going to get a
2029.
3-year guaranteed deal? No, I can't imagine anybody's giving him that. Like you said, we probably have the most ability to give him a longer term deal, and probably not the most guaranteed money because some people just have asinine amount of cap space, but enough to make it work. I mean, those numbers to me sound fantastic.
And some of that stuff you touched on with Antoine, I think one of the biggest keys there is that he's in a defense where this is all he's known since he was a rookie, and he knows it so well now. He can play with his eyes closed almost. It's just
And
so
he plays
freeing.
everywhere because Todd
You don't-
uses it all over the field.
Exactly. So you really don't have to think. You can free flow play the position, and it's so much easier to play. If any one of you guys out there who've played sports, like when you're not thinking and you can just play, it's a completely different animal. And I think he's in that position, in that space right now with this defense. He could probably call the defense. He's been in it so long and he's so fucking smart. So
Easy.
He's in that position. I find it hard to believe that he would ever want to leave that position. I think the Bucs will figure it out. He will probably reset the market at his position. Not probably. I think absolutely will. So I think the Bucs are in such a good position. But before we
Luckily,
move
that
on,
position is not an insane one to set the market at.
yeah, like 16 as a franchise tag is pretty damn cheap, man. In my opinion, as an NFL player. Before we
Before
move on,
to draft, I just want to say one more thing about Antoine Winfield Jr. I've tweeted this out before. I honestly can't think of any Buccaneer ever who's made more crazy, impactful plays. And that's just in his first contract. And that includes all the legends. You know, you got big sack numbers from Warren and fucking Simeon, but big plays in big moments, like he saving games, saving, playoff runs, Super Bowl winning strip sack or strip fumble. Like this guy
Twice in 1 year.
is unbelievable.
No,
Unbelievable.
might be more known for the peace sign than anything else.
Oh no, but he caused a fumble that rarely happens 2 times in the same season. But I was gonna say honestly, Stank, in one season, consider the history of the Bucs as a defensive team for the most part, right? In one season, he had, in my opinion, the second greatest defensive season as a Buc. Only second to Derek Brooks in 2002 when he won the Defensive Player of the Year award, where he had like 5 interceptions for touchdowns in the same season. I only put him up because he scored more than Antoine, but Antoine's season last year was right there with that. And consider the history that we have. That says a lot, dude.
It does.
And and he was playing for the contract too. So it just says even more to his character, not being a whiny baby, not bringing it up one time, not loafing. Just unbelievable, dude. Absolutely love this guy. But before we move on to the draft, Jake, I had to ask: are there any free agent targets that, if you're the Bucs general manager, if your dad is head coach, Todd, are there guys out there that they could possibly look at, whether they're high-priced guys like splash-type free agents or even lower-tier, Dollar General-type guys that you think the Bucs could look at or should look at?
I think you sign your own guys. I don't think there's any high-dollar guys out there they're going after unless something happens with Baker or Mike that they got to then go look at. Okay, if Mike leaves, do you try to go sign Pittman and you have a younger guy that's very similar, something like that? Do you try to make a trade at that point in the draft before you get there? I love the free agent market when it comes to the guys you just mentioned. That's veteran role players that fit what you do. So maybe that's somebody that Todd had in Arizona that's now come up that's on a different team or whatever that may be. I love the big uglies. I don't think you could have enough really good offensive line and defensive linemen, especially veterans that are role players. That might be one of the free agents that didn't even go across the ticker on TV, you know what I mean? And it's one of the back chat room that somebody knew about. But those guys are vitally important for building your team and building your roster and not having to rely on, rookie second-year guys. Having those role player veterans, you're not going to have a lot of money after you sign these guys anyway to go sign anybody that's high priced. But I think that stuff really goes overlooked and it's really valuable. And one thing my dad did a great job of in Arizona and Tampa was signing older veterans that he knew fit what they wanted to do. And they weren't like Dwight Freeney one year out here. We had a couple other pass rushers. Lorenzo Alexander, who then extended his career for a long time in Buffalo after that, knew what they would fit. They maybe not every down player, but they're really good leaders, are great in the locker room, and they're going to perform when they're out there. Those guys are vital to this time of year as well as getting those big guys back.
Every team needs an AQ Shipley.
Absolutely. He's a perfect example.
Every team needs an AQ Shipley. That's what I was going to say.
Is there any young Ryan Jensen's floating out there? Guys that just their teams don't value them. Jason Light can just pull off another roster out of Baltimore, somebody like that. Because I would like somebody like that.
Listen, Stank.
Big reds don't grow on trees, man.
If you look at Jason Light's history, if he's going to draft a corner, he also signs a mid-tier corner. He kind of hedges his bets almost. And he does that every single year. If he's going to go get a tackle or he's going to go get a guard, he's going to sign one too that's not going to break the bank. Almost as if he's setting up a backup plan to the rookie and kind of making the rookie earn his stripes at the same time. So I anticipate some lower level pieces like that getting signed. I don't know if that guy that just got released from the Bears, I think it is, if he's worth kicking the tires on. A couple of dudes like that.
Just as long as Ryan Neal gets replaced, that's all.
I don't think.
I mean, you have, BA's still in the building when it comes to that stuff. He's still the special advisor to the general manager. So Jason has that guy to lean on when it comes to that stuff. But that front office does such an unbelievable job. But hey, when you played against him here, or we had this, what do you think? That stuff, to me, that kind of information is invaluable, that they can have that private conversation when it comes to, let's grab this guy, let's see what Todd thinks, and let's bring him in the mix. But like I said, those things cannot be overlooked this time of year when you don't know how the draft's going to go. And if you say you made a move and you gave up a couple picks to move up and draft somebody, you wanted a safety, you wanted whatever, we'll get into that in a second, and you lose that, well, then you're not going to have a couple of those young guys to count on. You need some of these veteran pieces to really play well.
No offense to your pops, but he's now the secondary, assistant, advisor to the general manager. Just so
behind King Sammer.
Yeah, because I've been a little conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Jake,
we know our role.
Jake, does your dad miss it, man? Does he miss the daily grind? Is he happy in retirement?
No, he is ecstatic.
What about when he's watching a game? Is he still kind of getting that coach mode where you want to pull a guy's face mask and chew his ass out?
There's definitely that going on. Yeah, he was especially early in the year. Some of the offensive stuff, he was not that much fun to watch games with, but okay, got going. He's he's happy, man. He's playing golf. He's there when Jason needs him, and he's loving life.
I can imagine it'd be difficult. Like this week is going to be my first game as a head coach where I'm suspended, so I can't even coach up my kids. So I got to watch them
Sounds like
on tape. Yeah, so I can't even. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm gonna it's totally different situation, obviously, but I can imagine that it'd be very difficult. I don't know how those guys do it when they actually do get suspended, by the way.
I'm sure that
Sean
suspension
Payton.
was long overdue, by the way.
Unearned, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Unprovoked.
Cursing around
Unprovoked.
children? How dare you?
Unprovoked. Hey, you know what? Maybe try to beat me. Maybe just figure out how to beat me, guys. Huh? Maybe, try to outcoach me. How about that?
I was there
All
once
right.
upon a time, Sam. I feel your pain, bro.
You've been suspended as a Little League coach as well?
I got kicked out of a little league
Oh.
game for doing the right
Love it.
thing. I was obnoxious,
Doing the
but
right
I was right.
I was doing the right thing too, man. I've been teed up, but man, suspended is a different story. But anyway, last item on the list here, and this is more in your wheelhouse, in my opinion. I think you thrive in the draft talk. No offense to obviously all the insight that you give us, but the Bucs, they're sitting in a weird spot at 26. So the combine hasn't played out yet. We haven't really seen all these guys in front of these teams the way they like, in front of the scouts the way they like, up close and personal. Obviously, there's meetings. You've been through the combine, I think. Did you? You went through the combine, right? Okay. So all that stuff that's coming up. Do you have any rookies that you have circled that you're like, man, these guys come in day one, fit Todd, what Todd's doing, fit what we're doing on offense, fit the team, the locker room, everything moving forward?
Yes and no. This is going to be like the least sexy answer ever. When you pick 26, you are good. We're good everywhere. We don't need a lot. This really can be one of those things where you try to build your franchise on not taking players of need and taking the highest rated player that you have. Now we have a couple needs. I'd love to see us if a safety, and that's right in that wheelhouse for that first or second safety to be there at 26. But now you're counting on a rookie to step up and play. But a first rounder, my answer to you, do I have anybody circled? Anybody that played for Kirby Smart or Nick Saban? Yes.
Bring him in.
Especially on defense, because that's very, they're playing multiple. They're playing man, they're playing zone. They played in the back. You saw Brian Branch in Detroit have a hell of a year as a second round pick, whatever he was for Detroit. I'd love to see something like that. I just said same thing with free agency. I'm always about offensive line, defensive line. You can't have enough. Maybe a pass rusher if one falls to that point and Shaq's not back. You don't know, I don't know what's going to happen with all that stuff. I don't think we have to stretch. I think the highest rated player we have on the board, if somebody falls to us, or you could package something up and move up and go snatch somebody you really like because you don't necessarily need 7 picks.
And we haven't seen that from Jason since he's been here.
We haven't because we haven't really needed to. We keep building really good teams where you can just let whoever that top rated guy is fall to you. This could be the year to do that, though. I mean, this is not inside information. Again, I'm just saying, like, if that was a year to do it, and there was a guy that I loved, and I had to move up from 26 to 15, and I had to give up some future stuff, I'm okay with that. We're not not one of these teams. We're not the Rams that gave up everything and didn't have a draft pick for 4 or 5 years. Like, we're set for years to come. We could move some of those picks. We could move around and get a little aggressive if we needed to. Now, salary cap wise, moving from 26 to 15 could impact that player. But if you don't have a couple other guys because you gave away a third or second and a third, whatever it is, maybe you don't have to do that. So I'd love to see us do that. But anybody that's multiple on defense, like I said, that played for Kirby or Nick and coming out of those systems, and the SEC is just a different ball of wax when it comes to that stuff, especially on defense. But we don't have a lot of needs. We lose Mike. I've seen a couple people slotted receiver there. I'm not big on taking like the 5th or 6th receiver, 7th receiver of the first round just because we need to fill a guy in. I'd rather fill that need for agency if Mike left than another rookie. But
you're right, Jake. The SEC is the only division that matters. It's not like you're the ACC and you just nobody cares.
We're not in there for long.
Nobody cares. Even if you go
we're
to
trying to leave
about you.
We're trying to leave, dude.
It's just not saying, look, Florida State was phenomenal. There's certain teams that come outside of that play like SEC teams. Clemson, Florida. There's some. And the Big Ten was good, but it's just phenomenal.
They're phenomenal against, inferior.
I'm not getting into y'all's stupid in-state.
It's just terrible. Like,
and you got nobody
cares about that school.
Jake,
nobody cares about
you know football. Jake knows ball. He knows the Gators are pure garbage. I mean, what are you talking about right now?
Sure.
What are we talking about? No. Hey, listen, Jason has put this team in a position where he's basically drafting BPA almost every single season. I don't imagine any of his first-round picks being reaches. I know that he likes to move around in the second and third. He's got 7 picks. It tells me they're going to probably move up at some point in that second or third round and grab somebody. But I want to get your opinion, Jake, on a center or a guard at that spot in the first round. knowing what we know about Jason and his guys and being able to find the Alimar Pets of the world and the Luke Gedekes of the world and the Cody Mocks that don't necessarily have to be drafted in the first and be 10-year studs. Obviously, Tristan Wirfs was, but that was just the spot he was in, and he fell to us, obviously, worked out. But what do you feel about taking an offensive lineman at that spot in the first round?
I think that's another advantage of picking 26 when you're a good team and you're taking the best player available at 26, a center or guard. The great thing about that is I don't like taking the 6th or 7th receiver in the first round. But if you're taking a center or guard at 26, it's probably the best player at that position coming out. So I'm fine with adding either one of those. I've said, 3 times now, I love adding offensive lineman, defensive lineman. It's not sexy. You don't win the draft. The news kind of goes by and you're like, oh yeah, our first round pick's another redheaded dude from North Dakota. Like,
that's true.
Whatever. I love them big.
Saying whatever Ginger slides, at 26 is who we're going to take.
What's that?
Whichever Ginger slides to number 26 is who we're drafting.
With no teeth.
BGA.
I love those guys.
BGA, best ginger available. That's what we're doing.
Absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense.
No offense to any ginger.
That's a shirt.
It's a ginger loving show.
That's a shirt right there, Sammer.
Hey, I love me a good ginger. Don't get me wrong. All right.
I know you do.
I'm just saying. Hey, so what about this kid? Because I know Zach is literally gonna die if we don't ask you this. What do you think of West Virginia, Zach Frazier, the center, the stud? People say he's the second best centers. Zach will tell you he's the number 1 center. What do you think of that guy? I don't know if he's going to end up being there. I also don't know if I feel like it'd be a reach if he ends up sliding in. I don't know. It goes both ways depending on how you mock draft, which we all know mock drafts are bullshit. But what do you think about that kid, Jake?
Great player. Really good player. A guy you'd like to add to your team, regardless if you have him ranked 1 or 2, whatever that is. Getting him, to me, it's all value. The real draft is a lot like your fantasy football draft. To me, overreaching for guys that aren't going to pay that price is not a good way to go. Always go with the value. That's how they built this team. That's how you stay in salary cap. Then you can maneuver that and you have room to play. But he's another look. Anybody from West Virginia has got that same thing we were just talking about. Freaking no teeth, red hair,
weirdo.
Yeah. Freaking ankles off, whatever.
Like they might have like
making fun of Dan Campbell
for a basement with like body parts and weird shit, right?
We want kneecap biting dudes after we all made fun of Dan Campbell in his press conference for saying that. But those kind of guys, that's what you get from West Virginia.
I worry about that guy, Zach Frazier's bloodline. I know that you guys dig deep, and his bloodline a little questionable.
Listen, we went to West Virginia the day before we went to Pittsburgh a couple years ago, right? And we were in that town for about 5 hours, right?
Samer consumed meth in those mountains.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we ended up buying edibles that were meth at some point, right? Methables. But I digress. We didn't meet a single person with a full set of teeth the entire time we were there.
No.
I mean, the lady who brought us pancakes had a lisp, and it wasn't because she had a speech impediment. She was missing teeth. So I mean, even our friend Zach. Sorry, Zach, you don't have a lot of teeth. So
a lot of jerseys, not a lot of teeth.
But Stank was walking through the town, Jake. Stank was a 5 there.
They thought I was the mayor. Look, all these teeth right there.
They thought he was rich folk.
That being said, offensive linemen like that are ones you want to add to your team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Because they don't have nothing to lose. They can eat in glass.
Look, if Jason and that brain trust love him and they want to add him at 26, I'm fine with whoever it is.
What about moving out of the first completely, Jake?
I don't hate moving down either. If one of these quarterbacks slides at that point, because you got a really good quarterback draft and somebody's getting panicky and they want to give you 3rd pick of the 2nd round to move down, and you pick up another 3rd, so you got 2 2s and 2 3s, and one of the 2s is 3rd. I'm fine with that too. I mean, that's value-based proposition. You don't have the 5th-year option of getting the first round player, but you're not paying them first round money either. So like, I think a lot of that comes, and then look, if you can do that, you can then package that and move around. I'm fine with it all.
I can see that happening. Like it's getting late. 26 is rolling around. There's a big penis on the penis. Big penis is on the board.
Penix,
you get a little panicky, right? If I don't go and get this penis now, I'm not gonna get it. I'm gonna go penisless, and so somebody could just throw a lot at us there just so they can secure that. And I think that might happen.
I know this much. Jason takes the call and listens, which is all you can ask for. I mean, I think that's unless there's a player there that you love that fits exactly what you need, and you have maybe ranked 14 or 15 and he drops 26, then maybe you don't do that. But if that's the case, and the guys that you have really liked are slotted there, and maybe there's some guys that are going to fall to that first couple picks of the second round, but you had them ranked at 23, 24, that's a value-based proposition. You move down, you grab them, you grab another second rounder. 2 2s and 2 3s would be a hell of a draft, and not having a 1 would be fine.
Your pops made some comments about this draft class, and I believe he said he loves Michael Penix Jr., kids from Tampa. If that guy somehow slides, because I do have a feeling that if there's one of these quarterbacks would slide, he and J.J. McCarthy, more or less him because of his injury history, if he slides and he's there in the second round, are you going after him if you're the general manager,
No
Jake?
way.
If I got Baker back for 3 years, no, because I'm not screwing up that room and adding in another guy that the fans want to see. That's from that's just I wouldn't do that.
Tell him, Jake. He's the wrong guy from Tampa. TJ Tampa to Tampa. What are we doing here? What are we overthinking this?
Dipshit. We're talking about quarterbacks.
It doesn't matter. You guys want a local guy. I want TJ Tampa.
Not in the first round. You don't.
Oh, why, bro? Think of all the jersey sales. You don't think the Glazers think about that?
You can get him in the second
I think about
round
winning games. Winning games sells a hell of a lot more jerseys than anybody.
Yeah, I mean, how many jerseys did we get when we had Jacquez Green? All right.
Hey, Jacquez is a personal friend of mine, bro. You better be careful.
Yeah, mine too. He's head coach down the street from me.
Yeah,
all right, Manatee High School.
Yep.
Okay.
Facts are facts. He didn't sell a lot of jerseys.
And Quezzy was the shit though.
He had a couple
Phenomenal
players.
at Florida. Great player.
Yeah, so is Riedel Anthony and Ike Hilliard and all those guys.
Speaking of phenomenal, Greg DeCruz from somewhere in the jungle of South America. You never know. Wherever he's getting, he actually probably has better cell phone service than most of the people in the U.S. right now. He donated $5 American, maybe.
We don't hear your horn, by the way, Stank.
You don't even hear the horn? Okay. He said Bucs can compete for an NFC championship with the right moves along the interior O-line and pass rush.
I like what Crown said, honestly, in the chat. He said we should take him and give him the Jordan Love treatment. I don't know about that, though. That Jordan Love treatment felt disrespectful. But
dude, how old's Baker? If Baker plays great on a 3-year contract, you give him another 3-year contract.
I think you also do Baker dirty, and you do any of your starting quarterback dirty when you grab a guy like that, because all it becomes now is let's get him in. Let's get him in.
I'm not doing that to a good player that just proved he's good.
A young player.
Team that he's leading. I'm not. No, that screws up your locker room. It screws up the quarterback room. To me, no. Now, how far in the second are we talking about him falling?
Let's say he's
26 pick of the second round.
That's where the Bucs would be, 58.
Yeah, I know, but we were talking about a bunch of different scenarios of them. There's no way in hell he's falling that far. So,
all right, let's say he's at 38.
No. I love him. Dad loves him. I think they love him. But you have if Baker's back, you have your quarterback, and you have him at a good enough price that you don't have to screw with him. And you still have Kyle sitting there as a solid backup, so you don't need to mess with that dynamic at all, in my opinion. I don't think that needs to be. I don't think it is on their thought process or the radar. Now, Baker doesn't come back, and you don't sign one. Now you're probably talking about packaging some guys to move up and grabbing one of these guys.
You got bigger fish to fry, though. Bigger fish to fry.
But if they sign Baker, though, it's basically saying you are our guy for this length of this
$100 million is saying, yes, you're our guy.
Yeah, you're our guy. That's
pretty much the definition of you're our guy.
But we have a guy we drafted on the bench right now. We don't need, I know you don't, and I know half the fan base doesn't trust that Kyle might be that guy, but I know that organization does. So why are we gonna get another guy and sit him on the bench and wonder if he can be the next guy? Fuck that. You got to replace. We already, we can tiptoe around it. Devin White's gone. We need another safety. I don't ultimately know what the future holds a year or two down the road for Mike. So you probably want to draft a guy.
You're going to draft receivers and corners and all that stuff later. You can do that.
I know that. I'm just saying, in the second round to draft the guy that sit behind Kyle on the bench now, it don't make any sense, man. I don't see that.
Listen, dude, if Michael Penix is on this team, he would beat out Kyle Trask. No offense, dude. Baker would still be the guy.
It doesn't matter. You don't.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm just telling Stank, if in his little world where he thinks Kyle Trask is somehow better than him already, come on.
Well, he's a hell of a player. That's what. That's the perfect guy of Bo Nix, Penix, J.J. McCarthy. And we're sitting at 26, and the other guys have gone early. And some of those teams are panicking that passed by or took another need or whatever it was that want to jump back in. and there's not somebody that, some guys that you really slotted there that you loved are already gone, I think that's when you really look at moving back down. I like that play.
I know this though. When the spotlight was on, Kyle shined at Florida. He didn't. He
Are we
didn't
still
wither.
talking
He
about
didn't-
our
he
backup
didn't
Why are
wither.
we still
He
talking
didn't
about this
wither.
guy?
Y'all. You're
Kyle's
talking
fifth year was phenomenal. His SEC
Phenomenal.
championship game was one of the greatest games I've ever seen played by a quarterback in college football. But
Yeah.
we're still talking about our backup quarterback, dude.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
By the way, they lost that game.
We don't need Penix. We already got a big Penix right here in the locker room.
Okay.
Massive.
Baker.
Massive.
We don't need a quarterback if we got ours back. Period.
Truth.
Do you have
But
any?
None of that sexy, man. I'm sorry I'd have like better analysis for you, but like
No.
when you're 26 and you're a good team. Here's another scenario though.
I'm
Say
a
Baker
fan of
doesn't come
I'm a
back.
big uglies. I'm a fan of all the
But
time.
say
in the
Baker
first
doesn't
year.
come back and you have to draft a quarterback, right? You're going to go.
It's a different
We're going to
conversation.
plan to go with Kyle, but we're going to draft one if we can get one. And Penix, one of those guys, comes in. Now you're sitting there $30 million ahead with a good team. Now that quarterback's got to play well. But you look at these teams, the other way to win in the NFL now is a rookie quarterback contract and a guy that plays way above that.
Mhm.
I don't hate that either if Baker does decide, somebody gives him crazy money, decides to bounce. I think they're okay. I mean, then you have to probably go get one. But I like the brain trust in this draft to do that.
Is that
There's another free agent
if-
quarterback out there that the Bucs know about, that this fan base.
They don't grow on
if,
trees.
if Penix is
I
drafted,
don't care about the fan base. I care about winning games.
I expect to
Shit
see
about winning
BA.
press
You
conference.
said
BA's in that
you said if
building way
Baker
more.
walks, that we need to bring in another quarterback. I'm saying there's another free agent quarterback out there who's played for this team before, that this fan base and this organization, they might want back.
Man, I'm never coming
No.
back on the show. Ever.
Stop, dude. It's
Like-
not happening. It's not. Listen, if Baker's not there, or if Baker somehow doesn't get
Hey, Steak, let
re-signed,
me ask you this.
Penix is the dude.
What was behind door number 2?
Teddy
Tom
Bridgewater.
Brady?
No, a big fucking ring with Tom Brady.
Oh, this one, that one there?
Yeah, that one.
That one.
That was behind door number 2. That door closed a long time ago. If he wasn't the dude the first 5 years, he ain't the guy now.
And
There's
he's
not
happy being a-
going to be another free agent quarterback that hits the market. I mean, Baker played it right. He bet on himself and he freaking won. So if
He
somebody
did.
else wants to give him crazy amount of money, but it's a phenomenal draft class. If it
He
is
did
Bo
that.
Nix or JJ McCarthy, one of these guys, they now Bo Nix has more freaking starts than anybody
and
in
all the
college
other guys
history.
combined.
Like literally the most college. I mean, he's an experienced guy, 2 major programs. I don't love everything there, and he hasn't played in this kind of offense, but he's super accurate, can move around, really freaking smart. Coach's son, quarterback coach's son, his dad his dad Philip played at freaking Auburn. I mean, look, I don't hate any Penix if he was the guy, then he's the local guy. I mean, look, the team is solid everywhere, so I love the scenario that if that happens. Are you probably the division champ favorite at that point playing a rookie quarterback? Maybe not, but if Mike's back, Levante's back, Tristan's back, Antoine's back, and now we have a rookie quarterback contract, that means we probably did sign another pass rusher, another free agent. I don't hate our chances.
I'm curious if Mike would come back if Baker isn't the guy and he knows he's got to play with a rookie, or Kyle. I'm interested how that would all play out, but I don't see it.
All Mike does is put up 70 catches and 1,000 yards.
Yeah,
regardless.
hasn't he
No, I get that.
Doesn't
I'm saying he
matter.
would look at it from I have so many years left. Do I want to go ahead and waste a couple more of them to get this guy up to speed, or just go and try to make sure I make the most out of it? I'm not saying he wouldn't get 1,000 yards. I'm just
If
curious.
it's a guy
how
like
that played
Penix
out.
that throws the best deep ball that's come out of college football in a long time,
Yeah,
the number one thing you do is catch deep balls.
makes sense. Your dad's going to be around a lot more if Penix is drafted by the Bucs. I guarantee that,
He'd
right?
be excited about that one. He really likes that kid. I mean,
And he fits that offense too. He fits your dad's offense so damn well, which is obviously not the
he
offense we're
would.
running.
That's not what we're running anymore, but he would fit
I
it
know.
very well. Yes, I would love to see those two paired up together. I mean, what a great story though. I mean, what a freaking year. I mean, the kid was spectacular. The national championship aside, that defense was really good. The semifinal, spectacular.
Yeah. And coming into a situation like the Bucs too, to be able to call up Coach BA at any moment's notice and have him talk you through things, ask him questions. I mean, quarterback whisperer. I mean, that'd be phenomenal for any young quarterback. But a guy of his caliber that would have your dad really juiced and excited to talk to would be really fucking cool to see. But I don't see a scenario in which the Bucs don't re-sign Baker, so I don't see the Bucs going out there.
I don't
getting
either,
this
and that's
quarterback
your
either, so.
priority. I'm just saying, if it happened, it's not the end of the world. I mean, it's for this draft. I mean, you got to go get one of those guys, but I love everything about, like I said, I'm so proud of this team to be up against it. This was the year that you were supposed to suck. And I think that's why a lot of people picked him to not be very good because Tom left. Tom got way too much credit. Let's be honest. I mean, Tom got all the credit, but he wasn't the whole team. He walked into a really good team. That's what BA said when he said, "What's behind door number two? We are one player away from winning the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
To win that again, to win it again with Baker, to win that home game, to play really good, the defense step up. You're in a great situation to keep that going and damn sure be competitive. You got to stay healthy. We all know the things that happened during the season, but they proved a lot of that this year. The chips were down. They turned it around and won the games they needed to at the end to win it. And it was a hell of a season. I'm looking for the same kind of things next year. We got to get those guys back, have a good draft.
Listen, in the
they
trenches,
proved something to me. Like Todd proved something to me this year. Really, the whole team did. Baker earned my respect. We roll into Green Bay. We're circling the drain at that point. Things are not looking good. Like it's shaky, man. And we went in there played probably the best game of the regular season.
Kicked their ass, and they were hot. Jordan Love was playing good.
Kicked their ass. That was everything, that game right there. We took that momentum and ran with it, even though we had a stinker against New Orleans, which is unforgivable. But we still ended up doing what we needed to do.
I liked it. We teased them a little bit, think that they thought they had a chance.
They did.
Carolina the next week. And
listen, the Bucs are set, man. In my opinion, like the youth is where it matters the most on this team, is in the trenches, and I think we're gonna continue to add to that. And I think as long as you do it that way, you set your team up to succeed. Because if you have a good pass rush and you have good blocking, everything behind those two entities look better. They play better. They don't 100%. Need to be great. They just need to be good, and then they look great. And you got anybody who you pair up next to Antoine Winfield just has to be average. You just got to be average, dude. Don't give up a play when Antoine's in the box.
You don't even have to be average. You just have to be solid. That's why
just do your job.
I don't mind if we don't draft a safety, having a Logan Ryan again, a veteran guy that's multiple, that's just good. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes. You might get beat athletically because he's a little older at that point, but really smart, plays really good, plays sound, doesn't blow coverages, doesn't do stupid crap. There's a guy you mentioned that I want to bring up again that took a lot of shit. That played his ass off, and that's freaking Luke Gedeke, man. That switch to freaking tackle,
yes.
Dude.
For a second,
nobody took more shit for the year before. I couldn't freaking keep coming on and saying he's going to be okay. He's going to be okay. And going,
we didn't believe you, okay?
But the switch to tackle, dude was solid, beyond solid. He was freaking spectacular. You have bookend tackles. Tristan moving from right to left and not missing a beat. Like you can't that can't go understated either. How good he was all year, moving from right to left and not like it was nothing.
What do you think about how Cody's play at guard?
Solid, young guy, but freaking solid, man. Like they gelled together. They had really good. They started the show losing Goody and losing Joe. They did a hell of a job with those guys, man. That offensive line. But look, the biggest thing to me, offensive line, is continuity. Same 5 guys playing together every week. That goes a long way. If you're mixing and matching, you got a guard moving to tackle and a tackle moving to guard, and the center, guard's got to go play center because that stuff, man, kills you. It kills you. It kills you. Game plans can't develop over weeks. They can't expand what you're trying to do. That's just patchworking it together to get through a game and hope you can win. Keep those guys healthy and keep that core together. I think we're fine. Like I don't think we need to go guard or center if we have to at 26 either. I think that's the best part about being really good. Whoever falls to us, great. If one of those people want to panic and take that pick, fine.
I know for a fact that Baker is a huge fan of taking snaps from Bob Hennessy. So you get a really good, left guard in the draft. You upgrade that position next to him.
By the way, he was damn good. Like
he wasn't terrible. I agree with you. And I'm saying if you fix guard play next to the center, they will be better. And I think Cody in the second year will be better. And if you go out there and you find a stud in the second or third round, like he does every fucking year, out of nowhere, he gets a guy, puts him in, he plays well, Jason Light. So I think you fix the guard position there. You don't have to move on from Hainsey. You don't have to reach for a center. Maybe you draft a guy later on that you could maybe forecast in the future. Who knows if he develops or not? And you're kind of set. You don't really have to. The Bucs are in such a good position on that line on both sides, I feel like. And if you get an edge rusher, you steal somebody like that at some point, man, it's because I don't know what's going to happen to Shaq. We didn't even ask you about cap casualties. Maybe we'll do that in another episode. But like Shaq feels like that might be one of those types of things with him. His career might be over as a Buck. You might have to go and find that edge guy. And I think, the Bucs are just in such a good position, man. Jason Light, those dudes have just It's crazy, and especially what you said. Remember what they were saying about us last year? Like we're supposed to be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, dude.
3
We're
wins.
talking about moving out of the first round now, just because it makes more sense value wise. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That means the front office has done a hell of a job, from the cap to the players to everybody involved, man. I mean, this team is and the buy-in from the ownership. They've given these guys the tools and the money and the resources to be what they need to be and as good as we need to be to win the division. And that's all you can ask for. And they've done it.
Yeah. And somebody in the chat asked, what if you get an improvement at center and move Hainsey back to guard?
He's more of a center than a guard.
He is a center now for good, I believe. He's a center for good. Having done it 2 straight years now, this is what he's going to be. If he's going to start here, he's going to be a center. So he wasn't terrible. I really do think, like I said,
he was good, man. Look, if the quarterback likes you, that goes a long way.
Yeah, and the offensive coordinator was chosen because they called up Baker and made him feel involved, and they made sure they picked a guy that he was cool with. Which, by the way, I didn't even get to get your opinion on that. How much does that make a difference as a player when the coaches and the general manager, the people that are making decisions above what you do, include you in those decisions and make sure your opinion matters, your voice matters?
It's huge. Especially when you've learned 57 offenses in 5 years and the crap that he's been through, to say, look, we want to keep the continuity. We want the verbiage to be somebody you're familiar with, the personality, the guy you're working with every day, the guy that's going to be calling the plays in your ear. Are you good with this? Is that going to help us get you back?
That's got to be a good feeling, knowing that he could plant some roots here. Wife's about to give birth. He has
he loves living there. He loves the franchise. Loves everything about it.
He has a new best friend. Did you see him and Wirfs together, bro? They look like they're having the most fun. They are.
I'm a little jealous.
They need their own reality show. That's how much fun they look like they're having together, bro.
Yeah. Jake, listen, we got to thank you, okay? Because if it weren't for you guys continually doing what you guys do with the Arians Family Foundation and the golf tournament last year, that was Baker's introduction to the Buccaneer fan base. He had never met a Buccaneer fan until that day on that golf course, when I gave him the greatest introduction of his entire fucking life, dude. And he came.
That's a Heisman Trophy winner. That's a pretty damn good introduction.
No, you listen. It was a long list of awards this man has won. It's crazy when you go through it and look at it. You're like, holy shit, he's won everything you could possibly win as a quarterback, from high school to college, and of course the Heisman Trophy. And so, you made that possible, man.
Sammer,
you made that possible.
Sammer, I don't want to say this because I hate giving you credit, but if you don't give Baker that speech on that golf course, he loses. Kyle wins that starting job. Baker never ends up playing a game for the Bucs.
Can we end this show, man? I'm so tired of hearing.
No, I'm just listen. If I didn't give him that, intro, I gave him the moxie.
Like a whole different reality right now.
Yeah, Baker needed moxie from your speech.
No, Baker said I was questioning my confidence.
He did,
having bounced around. He said it on Dan Patrick's show. He said it all through Super Bowl, Radio Row. He said I was questioning my confidence at a point. He got to Tampa. He met me, and it changed. He said, "You know what?
It's true."
He heard all his accolades, and he said, "Fuck yeah, I am. I'm fucking Baker Mayfield, man."
Yeah. He was circling. His whole career was circling the drain, Jake. I don't think you realize when he walked up to the hole, he looked like a broken man. When he left that hole, holy shit.
I know he had a good time at that golf tournament.
He did.
Jake,
back to life.
He was so good in college. He won Big 12 Freshman of the Year twice. Okay? How do you win that award twice? Yep. Freshman of the Year 2 times? How? Not possible? Well, Baker proved you wrong. So, listen. You guys made it possible, okay? Arians Family Foundation. That's what you guys get to participate in if you win one of our raffles, by the way. And, of course, this year you get to go to, not the gala, because there is no gala, but a fucking concert. There's a backstage.
Gala party.
It's like a party, right? I mean, awesome stuff. So right before we end the show, Jake, I'll give you one more shot to just let people know what's going on, where they can find more information, and all the cool stuff you guys do.
AriansFamilyFoundation.com. Buy your tickets. Your your donation for entry on there. Concert, the party, 2 different options, $250 and $1,000. $1,000 gets you to the non-pool party, pool party beforehand. We'll be partying to the wee hours of the night. Some of the guys we mentioned on this show will be walking around in attendance. You'll be rubbing elbows with, along with BA and the Jason Aldean concert. And it's going to be a hell of a time. I mean, the 10th year anniversary, I'm so freaking pumped, and it's gone by so fast. Man. We've done some awesome events. I think this will be the biggest one we've ever done.
Oh, it's going to be fun, dude. See you in a few weeks, man. Thanks for joining the pod as always. And make sure you guys hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Leave us a comments, leave us your draft crushes in the comment section. We'll maybe discuss them next episode. Who knows? Jake, have a good night, man. Appreciate you coming on.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.
Welcome to Tampa Bay. We fuck 'em up when we raise the flag. Fire the